Hello YouTube, welcome back to Jerry's NBA Talk TV. I'm NBA Jerry and thank you for watching. I'm going to get you guys caught up a little bit on some big news in the NBA and things like that. I haven't been talking a lot about the news and things like that because I've been pretty busy doing something else, but more of that coming soon. But I want to talk to you guys about, first of all I want to talk about the 4-team trade that happened between the Rockets, the New Orleans Hornets, Indiana Pacers, and New Jersey Nets. Okay, the Rockets received Courtney Lee. New Orleans received Trevor Ariza. The Indiana Pacers received Darren Collison and James Posey. And the New Jersey Nets picked up Troy Murphy. I think it was actually a good trade for all teams. Okay, I think Trevor Ariza is definitely a good wingman, literally, for Chris Paul. Chris Paul was looking for a pretty big name player. Not saying Trevor Ariza is a big name player, but he's pretty much going to be the third best player on the team behind D West. So that's a good pickup. He's there. The organization, New Orleans organization, is showing Chris Paul that, hey, we got rid of Darren Collison, so you are our man, you're our point guard. No more point guard controversy with Darren Collison coming in and things like that. And also with Trevor Ariza, this guy's athletic. He's a freak of nature when it comes to some of the things that he can do on the court, and the sky's the limit for him. I really do think he's a phenomenal player that has not even come close to reaching the ceiling. Overall, I think it was a good move for the New Orleans Hornets. Now, the Rockets got Courtney Lee, which also I think is a very good value trade. And what I mean by that is Courtney Lee is not as good as Trevor Ariza, but he's a pretty good player. I mean, for the money that he's making, which is not much compared to Trevor Ariza or any two-guard in the NBA, you got a pretty good deal with him. Also, he's a pretty good player. I mean, he's not, a superstar or nothing like that, but he's a very good role player. Him and Kevin Martin know each other very, very well. Kevin Martin's like a big brother to him. So I think it's a good pickup. Courtney Lee's an excellent role player. So I think it's an overall good pick for Houston. They did downgrade in talent, but they definitely saved a lot of money. Also, remember, they picked up Brad Miller. They signed him to a new deal, and Scola. So, overall, I think it's a real good pick, especially with Yao Ming coming back. So, good trade for the Houston Rockets. I think it was a good deal for them. Indiana Pacers picked up Darren Collison and James Posey. James Posey, everybody knows he's a three-point shooter, okay defensive player. Obviously, his best years are behind him, but he's going to be an expiring contract. He's going to make a lot of money this year, but he'll come off the bench and hit some threes and give him a spark off the bench. But Darren Collison is the marquee name in this. He'll be a very, very good point guard. Obviously, it's been a revolving door for the Indiana Pacers when it comes to point guards, So, they solidified their point guard position for years to come with Darren Collison. His efficiency rating was great. And in my opinion, he's one of the top point guards that people don't talk about. I mean, this guy is lightning quick. He can score in bunches. He can pass. He can play a little bit of defense. And this guy he's a lightning rod. He's very, very fast. So, Indiana Pacers, very good trade. Now, the New Jersey Nets received Troy Murphy, which I think was an excellent pickup because he can play the 3 and the 4. He's mostly a stretch forward that can go out there and hit some threes. And with Devin Harris, driving to the basket and kicking out to Troy Murphy, and also Brook Lopez getting double teamed down there, you need a three-point shooter down there. And also with E going to the Wizards, the 6'10", 6'11" guy from China, he's gone now. So Troy Murphy would be an excellent power forward for them. Also, they got Derek Favors, the Nets do. So I think Troy Murphy will start. Derek Favors will come off the bench. He just turned 19. He's a young kid. So Troy Murphy, excellent rebounder, good three-point shooter, and that's a really, really good pickup for the New Jersey Nets. Detroit Pistons signed Tracy McGrady. And that's an interesting one. I actually love that, and I'm going to tell you why. Everybody knows Tracy McGrady. He was a great, great player, one of the most athletic, freak of nature players we've ever seen in this league. The guy's long, 6'8", can do any kind of dunk and score in bunches, but obviously he's not his old self. We know about the injuries. The last 2 years he's only played 65 games, so everybody thinks he's done. I don't think he's going to be the player that he was, but I think he'll come off the bench and score in some bunches. If you play him 18 to 22 minutes, I think that's really, really good for the Pistons and him. You can't expect him to be his old self, but Joe Dumars is a pretty smart guy. I think he knows what he's doing. And plus, you have to look at the risk and the reward. He only signed for the veteran minimum. So I think it was a very non-risky signing for the Detroit Pistons. I think it gives Tracy McGrady a chance to prove himself again. He couldn't really do it in New York, but this time he'll be playing with some great defensive players. and they'll be looking to make a playoff run. So I really, really like this signing for the Detroit Pistons, picking up Tracy McGrady. Basketball Hall of Fame had some really, really good inductees. I mean, they had the 1992 Dream Team. You got the 1960 Olympic team with Jerry West and Oscar Robertson and guys like that. Scottie Pippen, Karl Malone was there, Cynthia Cooper, Dr. Jerry Buss, just to name a few. So it was a great, great Hall of Fame. I think it was probably the most talented Hall of Fame inductees ever. I mean, look at who got in there. The 92 Dream Team and the 1960 Olympic team. For all you young guys that don't know, in my opinion, that's the second greatest basketball team ever assembled, the 1960 Olympic team, behind the 92 Dream Team. So that was a very good team. But with the Dream Team, in my opinion, they're the greatest team ever assembled in sports history, in my opinion. I mean, you talking about when you got Michael Jordan, Magic, Bird, and all those guys on the same team, you can't go wrong with that. So, also Scottie Pippen got inducted. I was very happy to see him up there with Michael Jordan. I mean, it brought a tear to my eye because when I was a kid, I loved Jordan and Pippen and the Bulls. I loved those. So it was just so fun to see those two up there on the stage together. It just brought back a lot of memories. And you know, Scottie Pippen, you know, if you guys never seen this guy play, Scottie Pippen is one of the greatest all-around basketball players you'll ever see. You're talking about a guy that can play defense better than probably any small forward in NBA history. All-around rebounder, can pass, can shoot the three, can score. I mean, this guy was a Mr. Do-It-All. He was considered, even in Jordan's era when Jordan was playing, a lot of people considered him the best all-around basketball player in the NBA. Now, we know Jordan's the greatest basketball player of all time, but a lot of people felt that Scottie Pippen was the greatest all-around basketball player, and he was just a phenomenal, phenomenal basketball player, phenomenal athlete, and a phenomenal person and a champion. Karl Malone. What can you say about him? To me, he's the greatest power forward of all time. I think Tim Duncan with his 4 championships is right behind him, obviously with the championship. But as far as just the numbers are concerned, an individual basis, Karl Malone was ahead of his time. I mean, you're talking about a guy who, I mean, he embodied working out and just having a strong body. And this guy was a freak of nature. You're talking about an athlete. This guy was one of the fastest players in the NBA at his size. His arms were like pythons. I mean, this guy, when he came down the lane, you got out of the way because he was strong and powerful. And if he goes up for a dunk, you better not get in the way because he'll hurt you. Also, you know, everybody knows he didn't win a championship, but I cannot define Karl Malone like that. He had great teammates. He had a great team. He was a great player. You know, he went to the finals 2 years in a row in '97, '98. Unfortunately, he ran into, you know, the greatest basketball player of all time. He ran into Jordan and Pippen and the Bulls, you know, and they were good series. Those are really, really competitive series. I know it went 6, but I'm telling you right now, the Utah Jazz gave the Chicago Bulls everything they can handle, and Karl Malone was the main reason why. So congratulations to all the inductees in the Hall of Fame. You guys all deserve it. Speaking of the Hall of Famers, a lot of them were asked on Friday about LeBron James and his decision. Of course, that's the hot topic. And you know, the majority of them, Pippen, you know, Bird, and you know, Barkley and Jordan already said what they said. Basically said that you know, they wouldn't have did what LeBron did, you know, going to another team and the 1-hour decision and things like that. So, you know, they had their opinions on that, and everybody's have their right to opinion. Maybe they would have done it, maybe they wouldn't. But, you know, like I said before, LeBron James made his decision and it's done. So let's see what happens from here. LeBron James also, speaking of him, he sent out a tweet on his Twitter page. And here's what he said. I'm going to read this to you, and I quote, "Don't think for 1 minute that I haven't been keeping mental notes of everyone taking shots at me this summer. And I mean everyone." So, if you can read between the lines, he would sound like he was talking about maybe, you know, Jordan and Magic and Barkley and all those guys that were saying something about him. But, you know, Barkley, you know how he is. He didn't hold his tongue. He basically went out and said, Barkley basically said, because he thought the 1-hour special, Barkley said, the 1-hour special was a punk move. He said him dancing on the stage, LeBron, when he was dancing on the stage, he said that was a punk move. And also he said he was very disappointed in LeBron going to D-Wade's team. So, you know, Barkley didn't hold his tongue for that. My opinion on that, you know, like I said, you know, he's in Miami now. There's nothing, you know, we can say or do about it. He's there. I think people have a short-term memory when it comes to things. People have done a lot worse than LeBron's doing. But I'm gonna make a LeBron James legacy video, and I'm gonna touch on that. So stay tuned for that within the next maybe week or two. But me personally, as far as the LeBron James tweet goes, I like it. I like when players get fired up, because in my opinion, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, those guys are the best players in the NBA, and I like to see the fire out of LeBron James. You don't see it too much as far as when you compare him to, Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. LeBron is more of a, laughing guy. He jokes around a lot and stuff like that. Not saying he's not competitive, because he is, but you don't see as much as fire. You don't see the same fire that Kobe and things like that. So I like that fire from LeBron James. I think it's really cool that he's actually stepping out and finally saying something after all these people, Dan Gilbert and all these people saying all these things about him. So I'm glad he fired back by saying that. There's nothing wrong with him saying that. I like it. All right, guys, I got a question. You know what? Let's do a Jerry's NBA question of the day real quick. I haven't done this in a while. I know I haven't answered the last ones, but there's so many things going on right now. I definitely will get to that. But I want to ask you guys a question. When I seen Karl Malone up on the stage and he was getting presented the Hall of Fame, and I seen him talking about Stockton, and then when I seen Pippen up there standing next to Jordan, it got me thinking about NBA duos. Two players, the two best players on NBA teams. And it got me thinking, who is the greatest duo? A lot of people say Jordan and Pippen. Some people say Magic and Kareem. Malone and Stockton. Even though they never won a championship, those guys played together for 18 years. You're talking about the all-time leader in assists with John Stockton, second leading scorer in NBA history with Karl Malone. I mean, you're talking about some top-notch players, okay? Arguably the second best point guard or third best point guard in NBA history, John Stockton, wherever you want to put him. Karl Malone, one of the greatest, if not the greatest power forward. I know they never won a championship, but you got to consider them one of the greatest duos because they played 18 years together, okay? Also, like I said, Magic and Kareem, Jordan and Bird. How about Jerry West and Wilt Chamberlain? How about Jerry West and Elgin Baylor? How about Bill Russell and Bob Cousy? Just to name a few duos. So that's my question, folks. Who is the greatest NBA duo in your opinion? All right? Let me know. Thanks. Take care, guys. Thanks for watching. And remember, if you can believe it, you can do it. I'll talk to you guys soon. And remember, always, always treat people how you want to be treated, and everything will be okay. I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.